Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna talk about myths about education. I'm Rita and today it's all about you. The learning process happens everywhere, in every type of different experiences that we can have, since the minute of birth until the last breath in death. The humankind have these learning processes happening during a whole life. It is actually a native gift, but education, it happens in school and in all moments of new experiences and new situations. If you think about the most meaningful learning moment in your life, I guess you will not think about the ones that you got in the classroom. We all learn things all the time in the different ways, in different circumstances, and classrooms are only one in a million. Education is not really received, but achieved. We educate ourselves every time we read a book, we listen some news, when we talk to other people, and when we develop a skill or learn something new. It is something you do. It's not something that somebody do for you or to you. Because if you don't like something, if you feel blocked, you will probably not learn this thing. And this happens even if you have the best teacher in the world. You are the only active, responsible person in your own education. It is proved that homework more likely improve stress levels in students and also anxiety than really knowledge. Of course, there are many areas that you need to practice a little bit more, but only in certain circumstances and something that you feel that you have to do, not a mandatory situation or activity. Concentration in school, active participation, the increase of practical lessons instead of only theoretical shows in many studies that is much more effective for the learning acquisition than really just homeworks and theory and the usual things that we can eventually see in most of educational systems. Children that came from disadvantaged social levels may eventually have less opportunities, may eventually have more anxiety and more stress, but this doesn't have nothing to do with the learnability, with any type of education capacity, or even with their performance in schools in a general way. It is actually related with motivation, with self-esteem, with anxiety, with stress levels, and even with depression, but never with the learning skills of each student. Many studies around the world can show us that when a class is reduced for 10 or 15 students, there are an extra individualization and students graduate with higher grades. Reducing class results in a much higher acquisition level and also a higher quality of the learning. The world is made by a whole and not really divided in small subjects. It is actually a confused, sectionated processes that doesn't really allow the child to see the whole perspective. The most successful education systems allow a mix between subjects because it is how we organically find them in the world. And of course, if it's like this, it is much more easy for a teacher to explain, but also to a student to understand that things are connected with each other, that language are deeply connected with math, that is really connected with physics, and it's really connected with chemistry, and all the things are really connected because that's how the world is composed by. It is also important to understand that it is important to give to all the subjects the same importance, because in that way we help students to increase self-esteem, self-image, motivation, and at the same time we can teach them that everything is needed and everything is valid without any type of judgments or preferences. And teach them that a teacher, for example, is so needed like an artist, like a dancer, or any type of profession. So it is important to transmit that any type of subjects are valid and are important for the whole society and for the whole community. School needs to teach knowledge, which is deeply related with creativity, problem solve, and analysis. But this is not the reality. Most schools don't even teach how to learn, how to study, how can a student develop their own skills, and how to keep the motivation for that to happen. They just wish or wait for the student to discover by themselves how to do all of these things. Schools, governments, and countries need to review education as a whole, as a set of things that involves all the subjects, and not individualized things and even students in different categories. A whole education involves subjects, practices, experiences, skills, emotions, and cognition. And this is very important for the responsibility of the role of the future adults. Like Nelson Mandela quote says, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. It is actually the first move to get knowledge, learn the critical thinking, empowerment, and skills to make the world a better place. And so that's all for today, guys. I hope you like it. I hope you subscribe to the channel. Leave a thumbs up, share with a friend, comment if you want, and I'll see you next time for another video. Bye!